This is Ruslan. He's a 43-year-old veteran of the Russian army. He fought in Ukraine. And this is Victor, 60 years old and a former member of the Wagner Group. He fought in Syria. And this is Ilya. He served in the FSB, the successor of the KGB. These are just a few of the men tasked with protecting the Shadow Fleet. The Shadow Fleet is an enormous fleet consisting of over 1,000 unsanctioned oil tankers that Russia uses to sell their vast amount of crude oil. While it's not illegal for Russia to sell their oil, they cannot sell it to the European Union or United States due to sanctions and import bans made by Western governments to not fund Russia's war in Ukraine. Cutting out Russia's oil completely results in a large vacuum to fill, as the world still depends on vast quantities of oil for fuel for cars, airplanes, and boats, as well as other petroleum products we take for granted. Russia's new shipping route is well known by now. They mostly deliver crude oil to refineries in India and China, who then sell it to Western countries as a sort of whitewashing of Russian oil. This way, your country might unintentionally be funding Russia. So why is it called a shadow fleet? Well, these oil tankers often pass through waters where they aren't legally allowed to be. Thus, they turn off their automatic identification system, or AIS for short, which is illegal under international maritime law. We know a lot about the fleet and its ships. We know their routes, where they come from, where they go, and how they are protected and hidden. But how did they come to transport illegal oil for Vladimir Putin? Many of the ships are old tank vessels that have served their purpose and was being retired from the Western fleets. Like this ship, formerly named Ulanzi, was owned by Norwegian Nihil Shipping and sold in April of 2023 to a buyer in the Marshall Islands. And this was formerly named Nordic Cosmos, owned by North American Tankers and sold in October 2022 to a buyer in the Marshall Islands. Same story with Challenge Passage and Agneta Palace 2. These are just a few of formerly Norwegian-owned ships sold to shell companies in the Marshall Islands to be used in Putin's shadow fleet. All of these ships were 15 to 20 years old and nearing the end of their lifetime. Therefore, these companies saw opportunities to make a lot of money selling the vessels instead of scrapping them. And the story is the same in the US, UK, France, Germany, and the rest of the world. And that is just another problem. Let's look at Nordic Cosmos again. It was completed in 2003, an aging ship ever closer to expensive repairs to pass quality controls by the Norwegian Maritime Authority. It's easier to sell it. Income Noble Food Company Limited, a shell company based in the Marshall Islands. They buy Nordic Cosmos and renames it. Today, the name is PAS, and they fly Panama's flag. At the time of filming, they're outside Singapore. So, what's the big problem? In the EU and US, ships are heavily regulated and must pass quality controls ever so often. They also need to be insured in case of an accident. If even just one of these ships sinks, the environmental impact is catastrophic, and cleaning up the mess is very expensive. Hence, the insurance. The vessels in the Shadow Fleet are old, tired, and registered in countries far less regulated than Europe and United States. The question isn't any longer if, but rather when an accident happened, and who will pay for the cleanup. The West is coming for these ships. As an estimated 1/3 of the Shadow Fleet sail under false flag, they can legally be boarded by any state, after which they can be sanctioned or even seized. But boarding these ships comes with a risk. If you remember Ruslan, Victor, and Ilya, yeah, that's why they are there, to make sure these ships aren't boarded or seized. Security boards pass in a Baltic Russian port like any of its crew. They take large detours to avoid EU authorities and at some point turn off their AIS so they aren't easily tracked. They dock and refuel at certain ports they know are safe. In Egypt, security leaves and waits for the next vessel back home, while Paz continues to India. December 16, 2025, Egypt. Security officer Nikolai boards the tanker Kendil and they set sail back to Russia. Only 2 days later, southwest of Crete, they are under attack by Ukrainian drones. Nikolai can't fight against drones, so they hide and wait it out. Follow the Money reports that only hours after the drone strike, Vladimir Putin tells the press, "This will not disrupt any supplies and will only create additional threats. Response from our side will certainly follow." Although, in the months that follow, security on the vessels seems to be getting lighter. Maybe they aren't needed. Recently, Russia has started adding liquefied natural gas carriers to the fleet, or LNG for short. Estonian border guards shared a photograph with media outlet Delphi. The weapon is identified as a Cord 12.7mm machine gun. With a machine gun on board a natural gas tanker, the risk of boarding is just way too high. Or as a Baltic intelligence officer stated, "No one is going to go on board of such a ship by helicopter. If that was the objective, then Russia achieved it." So is that it? Did Russia just win?